So hello there. So today's tutorial we're going to look at compression. And basically what we're going to have is a bunch of drum loops. We're going to set it up and we're going to try out a whole bunch of different compression settings. We're going to look at how we can increase and decrease different instruments within that loop. Make the recording a little bit more consistent. And well, let's dig in. Alrighty. Okay, so today what we have here is a drum loop. Over here in the channel strip, I've set up a compressor, which I haven't turned on, and a channel EQ. And over here is my compressor. So let's take a look at the interface. Across the top, we have these buttons, and these buttons are used to emulate various different types of compressors. Emulation over here is used to determine the characteristic. Different compressors have different characters, how hard they start gain reduction. We have our input gain, our output gain. We have distortion, so we can add a little bit of distortion here. If we're going to do hard limiting, we can turn it on over here. But let's take a look at our common controls here. We have the threshold, and the threshold controls at what point the compressor is going to act on the signal. It's usually expressed in dB, and then as you can see there, it's 39.5 dB is where we're looking. So if a signal exceeds that, it's going to start gain reduction. If the signal level is below or falls below that threshold, no processing takes place. The next button we have here is threshold, right? And if we turn on graph, we can see it's a very linear. We have a 1-to-1 ratio. That means no compression is going to happen. If we have a compression ratio of say 3-to-1, the input signal that exceeds the threshold by 3 dB will be cut back by 1 dB. The next thing we're going to look at here is knee. And knee really determines how hard compressor is going to kick in once the threshold is being reached. So for instance, let's say at a ratio of 5-to-1, right? And we have a knee of 0. It kicks across really hard, right? There really is no give in this. But as we set the ratio over to 1 and move it up a bit, we can see a slight curve here. So what that's indicating is that the compressor will start kicking on slightly before where the ratio is set for. So you're going to see it gradually kick in, as opposed to really once that threshold is exceeded, boom, we're going to kick in full gain at that point. Down here across the bottom, we have attack time and release time. Attack time relates to how long a compressor takes to pull down the gain once the threshold is reached. We set it for a fast one, it's going to kick in right away. And what that'll do is it'll cut all the transients out of the signal. If we allow it to take longer to kick in and set the attack longer, some of the transients will sneak past. And you also have release times, and release times over here determine how long it takes for the compressor's gain to come back to normal. And that happens once the signal falls below the threshold. If a compressor is set too fast, the signal may sound like it's pumping. And that can be very desirable, especially in rock or dance music. Continuing through, we've gone through the different settings here. I've moved it back down to factory default. So right now we can see that there's a 1-to-1 ratio, so no compression is going to happen. Our threshold is set fairly high. Let's kick off our loop. There we go. And we can do a before and after. And as you can hear, there's really no compressing happening. There's nothing on the graphs here. So let's put an easy compression in here. And we can see we're getting some reduction, right? Probably bring this down just a little bit. As we increase our threshold, okay, we can see that compression is reducing the gain a whole lot more because we set that threshold a lot higher. Okay, now if we want, we can also set, we can move it all the way over, the ratio all the way over. Our attack is still fast, and we can see now it's really compressing the signal across. Almost everything is getting compressed. Now the thing about compressors is, depending on how you set it, you can start hearing cymbals, especially the hi-hats, come out, right? If you set the attack a little slower, you it'll allow some of the transients to come through, so you'll hear the transient of the crash cymbal. You'll also hear the beater hit the kick drum. If we bring that back out a bit, it's more of the thump. You get the thump, you get the energy of the kick drum. You don't hear that. So let's see. So you can start hearing the transit. So you hear that. Bring this back down again. We can throw this over and really squash the signal. At this point, we're doing some really serious hard limiting at a particular level. We can actually turn on the limiting feature, right? Bring up the threshold a bit, and this is still acting as a limiter, right? So we're not letting any of the signal exceed our threshold at all. Not that it would. And so that's compression. Hope you enjoyed it. All right. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen and view my tutorial. I hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.